Alright, let me check if everything's fine, if I'm online yet. Alright, things look good. Welcome everyone to this live session. This is my first YouTube session from Unacademy. My name is Bhavuk Pujara, and let me check if the video is working fine. I'm not sure the video is working fine anyways. So welcome everyone. Today we're going to discuss some last minute revision tips for IIFT 2019. You know, CAT has happened yesterday, right? And I hope that everyone's CAT exam went well. If not, let's discuss what other options do you have, and even if the CAT went well, let's discuss what more options you have. Alright, so we're going to discuss some last minute revision tips for this particular exam, which is IIFT 2019, which is due next Sunday. My name is Bhavuk Pujara and I'm taking this live class for you guys on YouTube. A little bit about me, where I come from, what my background is, so that you can understand your educator, so that you and I can connect better. I scored a 98.3 in my CAT 2015. I graduated from MDI Gurgaon in 2018. I'm a verified educator on this platform Unacademy with over 750 videos. I'm an aptitude trainer for past 4+ years. I'm a name published in TMH books, and a little more about me. You can visit my profile on Unacademy by clicking on this link, which is unacademy.com/user/Bhavuk Pujara, and know more about me. General points to note regarding this IIFT 2019 exam that we are discussing. The first thing to remember is that, good or bad, CAT 2019 is done with. So stop thinking about it. Stop reading articles about how they are saying that what the analysis is going to be, or what the percentile is going to be equivalent to your attempts, good or bad attempts. Do not spoil your next exams, right? So good or bad, CAT 2019 is done for you now. Move on to prepare for next exams immediately. The more time you take, the worse it is. The quicker you get over CAT, the better. But a few things to catch, or a few things to, I would say, remember from your CAT 2019 attempt is that you learn from your mistakes. If you think your CAT exam didn't go as per your preparation or as per your expectation, learn what went wrong. Analyze that way. What happened in the exam? Did you freak out? Right? You couldn't manage time? All your preparation strategy went down the drain? What happened exactly? Or was there any gap in the application part of it? You could understand the question, but you couldn't solve it, right? Because it was a different application than what you have already done before, right? The kind of question you've done before, it was different kind of a pattern, different kind of questions that appeared. So learn from those mistakes, but do not delve much into what happened in CAT 2019. Why didn't go as per the expectation? Just focus on what next is lying in front of you. Do not assume that you won't make the same mistake again. Very important. Right? What happened in CAT 2019? Learn from it, as I'm saying, but do not assume that you won't make that same mistake again. So learn, and I would say prepare better this time. Multiple exams means multiple chances. CAT 2019 is done. Change your perspective in a way that not all exams are like CAT, right? The patterns differ. So utilize this 3-4 days, 5 days that you're left with for the next exam. IIFT, after that, some people would have NMAT and SNAP also, and then later in January you would have SAT. So multiple exams are there. You have multiple chances, multiple opportunities. One exam not gone as per the expectation doesn't mean you have to wait again next year, or other exams would go the same. You have a lot of time for your next exams, especially SAT, a month. SNAP, you have another 3 weeks left. So a lot can be done in this time. Utilize that time, but don't dwell much into what happened in CAT. IIFT exam, a few key points. First thing is that it's a traditional pattern. It has never changed. It has not changed in a very long time, I would say. It's more about speed and accuracy, IIFT. Should you worry about concepts? I would say no. If you are decently prepared for CAT, I would say you wouldn't have to study something extra in terms of concepts, in terms of new questions, new chapters, or new, I would say, topics in that matter. What you need to focus right now is on being in the right mental state. Right? CAT and IIFT are two different exams, like CAT and ZAT, CAT and SNAP, and then MAT. They all are very different exams. So what you have to do is just change your mind, change your mindset, change your mental state, and focus more on the pattern of IIFT. It's more about time management. It's more about speed and accuracy in the exam. Or someone scoring 33, 34% out of 100%. That's the person I'm talking about is a 97 percentile or 98 percentiler in that. Right? To be a 99 plus percentiler, you have to attempt around 40-45% of the paper. Of course, the cutoff changes every year. For that, take mocks of IIFT and understand how your peers are performing, how your competition is performing. That's more important. And people who are joining this session live are free to comment in the comment section box. I have another device open where I can check out the comments and respond to you. Second point, remember the mere existence of sectional cutoffs. Right? Ask around, students fail more in sectional than in overall cutoffs in IIFT exam. So what is the best strategy here? So focus on, I would say look at a section, right? Invest 15-20 minutes in that section, move on to the next section, next 1 or 2 sections. GK can be finished in say 5 minutes, right? In GK section, you either know the question or you don't know the question. There is no gray area. It's either black or white for you. So don't spend much time in GK. 3-4 minutes should be enough. 5 minutes should be enough. Clear the cutoff, right? Then move on to the next section, clear the cutoff. Answer only enough questions that you're clearing the cutoff. And cutoff is usually, you can check out on the websites or the cutoff says for IIFT, for example, VA cutoff is around 30% of the VA section total marks. Quants is around 20 marks, but cutoff is usually around 15% of 20, which is around 3 marks, 3.5 marks. So cutoff is really on the lower side. So first focus on scoring 5 marks each, 5-6 marks each in each of these sections, and then go back to improving your score further. Time management is the key. As we discussed, divide your time wisely. First 1 hour should be spent in only clearing the cutoff, and next 1 hour should be used in improving your score. I understand you would have some strong points, some strong, I would say, sections, like Quants is a strong section, for example, or RC is a strong section, and you would be craving, or you would feel the need to, solve all the questions or solve it in one sitting, one section, but don't do that. Focus on clearing the cutoffs first and manage time wisely. Ideal section-wise time breakup. This is something that works for me. In GK, spend 8 to 10 minutes. This is on the higher side. 8 to 10 minutes. Beyond this, you're just wasting your time, because in GK, as I said, it's all about, it's either black or white for you. You read the question, you either know the answer or you don't know the answer. VA, that is verbal ability, 15-20 minutes. RC, reading comprehension. These are usually fact-based questions that are asked in RC. So read the question first is my suggestion to you. Read the question first and then go back to reading the RC. And I would say pick those words that are used in the questions and where they are in the passage, and read around 3 sentences before that word, 3-4 sentences after that word, and answer questions accordingly. QA, that is quantitative aptitude, 25 to 30 minutes, not more than that. LR, logical reasoning, is usually on the tough side. Right? Logical reasoning on the tough side, so 25 minutes, and 4 sets can be attempted. 4 sets is equal to what? 3-4 questions asked per set would be around 16 marks. But usually LR is of 0.7 or 0.5 marks. So 4 sets is around 0.75 is like 16 questions, and 75% is around 12 marks, which is more than enough. Okay, then DI, again on the higher side. These are usually calculation intensive DI questions, DI sets that appear in IIFT. unlike CAT, where they're usually logic based. Right? So calculation power should be very strong. Your mathematical operations power should be very strong. Right? So choose amongst LR or DI, which one do you want to spend more time in and want to maximize the score in. Right? Because both cannot be done. Right? 15 to 20 minutes in DI just to clear the cutoff, or a little more than cutoff should be enough. Then spend the rest of the time in LR, or take out time from LR and spend it in DI or something like that. Keeping in mind that sectionals have to be cleared. Okay. Next point. Remember to mark the answers. I remember when I was taking my IIFT exam, there was this girl, right? The paper got over and this girl was crying. The papers were getting collected because she didn't mark any of the answers. She missed out on that. She got so excited with the paper, or probably she had decided that the strategy is going to be she's going to be sparing 5 minutes towards the end to mark all the answers, right? And before that, she'll be marking only on the question paper. The strategy clearly didn't work out for her, and she started crying, right? So be wary of that. Be very, very careful that as you solve the question, trust me, you're not going to get an opportunity or time to go back to that question later, right? If you think that you're going to revise the paper and then probably be very careful in marking the answers, you see the question only once in the IIFT paper. You don't get much time. So you solve that paper, you solve that question, you get the answer, mark it, and go ahead. We understand the excitement of solving the questions more so when we are confident we are doing them right. Right? But we have to be careful about that. Our efforts have to be counted as well. If they're not marked in the answer sheet, in the OMR sheet, they're useless. All those efforts are useless. What happened with that lady was, when she was crying and she was requesting the invigilator to give her like 10 minutes or 5 minutes to mark all the answers, the other students protested. Because of course that would be unfair for other students to give someone some extra time. Right? She should be smart enough. It's a management exam. It's an aptitude exam. She should have been smart enough to manage the time accordingly. But other students started protesting. 3-4 students started protesting that she shouldn't be given time. And 3-4 students, they were with her. They were like, it's okay. Take some time and mark the answers. And I left the hall. I don't know what happened later. But such kind of situations arise. So remember to mark the answers. And point number 5, section component structure is dynamic. In IIFT, we never know what section is going to be of 0.7 marks each or 0.5 marks each. Quants is usually 1 mark each, every question we're talking about. So stay open to change there. Check out previous 5-year structure of IIFT. You'll get an idea of what is happening, what the mindset of the examiner has been. And they can change it any year. Right? So the first 3-4 minutes, I would say, or 2-3 minutes should be spent in looking at the first page where they're telling you everything about what each and every section contributes, what the total marks in each and every section are. That sorting is very important so that you plan your strategy on how you're going to go ahead with the paper accordingly. Right? Now we're going to talk about some section-wise approach. Before that, if anyone has any questions, people who are attending this live, if you guys have any questions, please let me know. I'm going to wait for a minute for people to comment. All right. No questions, no doubts, no comments. Let's move ahead. After exam, section-wise approach. Section number 1 is verbal ability, is what we're going to talk about first. What you should do at this time, with just 1 week left to IIFT, is revise basic grammar rules, punctuations, word roots and spellings. Right? Download some application or pick up the book. Hi Akash, I see you've joined the session. We're discussing some last week revision tips for IIFT 2019. You can go through the video later what you have missed in these first 20 minutes. Okay, if you have any specific questions, please post them. We're discussing these section-wise approach, what you should do in the last week. The first section being verbal ability. We're discussing that at this time, you should just revise basic grammar rules, punctuations, word roots and spellings, download some applications, mobile applications, or pick up some book, your favorite book, where you can, something that you can carry with you while you're traveling to work, probably, or while you're traveling to college. Yes, Akash, that is what I plan to do in the next session that is due tomorrow. So you can feel free to join that session, CAT 2019 analysis. I also attempted the paper. So I can give you a first-hand experience of what happened with me also in the exam and what should be expected as a cutoff. Okay, this session is about some IIFT tips. Okay, sure, Akash, you're welcome. We're going to discuss that tomorrow for sure. I also tend to take a special class on that, so you can keep following me on Unacademy. You'll get to know, you'll get a notification if you're following me on Unacademy application when I launch a special class tomorrow. Are you taking IIFT exam, Akash? Do you have any specific questions regarding this exam that is due next week? Okay, so stick around, see if something of value comes in and you can take it away as a learning or what you should do in this next 1 week. Section number 2 we're going to discuss about is reading comprehension. One of my favorite sections, I would say, is reading comprehension. Because especially when it comes to IIFT, they're not at all logical reading comprehension. Just straight away read the question, spot that word, spot that particular sentence or word in the reading comprehension in the passage and mark the answer. It's so simple. I remember I scored, out of 16, I scored around 13 in reading comprehension when I paid for IIFT. Okay, so these are mostly factual, direct questions. Long RCs, if you see, do not read it complete. Pick keywords from questions and go through RC then. Read questions first. Identify if questions that follow require much in-depth reading or a quick glance of RC. Usually it's a quick glance. Remember that IIFT RCs are much easier, so do not try to avoid these RCs. People fear RCs and they say that they're just going to clear the cutoff in the RC section. I would say, please do not do that. One takeaway, right? These RCs are very, very easy. The problem is that they're very lengthy, right? And people who have prepared decently for CAT exam are used to reading RCs completely, right? Sometimes, it just, they just can't resist not reading the RCs complete. But I would say you would have all the time in the world once the paper is over to read what is there in the RC. If you like a particular subject, some people just get so much delve into that subject because that is a subject of interest, or that is a subject of their favorite topic, and it's so interesting that they're like, okay, puri RC padhenge and then only we're going to move ahead. But एक बारी paper कर दो, सारे answers mark कर दो, उसके बाद you're going to get all the time in the world to read those RCs and probably Google also what is happening around that particular topic in the world, right? But for that, only focus on questions, spot those words in the RCs and mark the answers. That's it. But this time I found CAT RCs as difficult. Yes, Akash, CAT RCs, we're not talking about CAT RCs, these are IIFT RCs we're talking about. This is all IIFT, last minute revision for IIFT 2019 is the topic. You found RCs difficult, I would say I found them easy. And a lot of people who are saying that RCs were very difficult. I found just one RC which was very, I would say, off convention, very unconventional topic they took, but very much, I would say, much of psychology involved in that particular RC. Otherwise, the other RCs, all other RCs, 4 RCs that I attempted were like pretty doable for me. If you ask me, I attempted like 30 questions out of 34 questions in verbal this time. Okay. Akash, I had second slot. I was in the second slot. Alright, section number 3, that is general knowledge, GK. Some tips, some takeaways. You can start off with GK section. This paper, IIFT we're talking about, start off with GK section. Spend no more than 8 to 10 minutes. This is also on the higher side, 8 to 10 minutes. How many number of questions appear. You shouldn't spend more than 4 or 5 minutes on GK section. It's very black and white GK questions. Simple fact, अगर आपको पता है GK question का answer तो आप mark करेंगे. नहीं पता तो there is no need to read the question again and again and try to guess. Right? Do not make guesses here. Revise major events in last 6 months in the area of global Indian business, product launches, CEOs, acquisitions, etc. These are very important. Besides static GK that we have. The static GK again, they are not changing, right? These last 6 months, the GK current affairs is something that is very important. Okay, and also you can start off with GK section because once you mark, say 8 to 10 answers in GK, you'll get that confidence, right? To get that boost and that confidence towards the end of the section, towards the starting of the exam is very important. All right. Akash is asking a question. Every section will have individual cutoffs, sir, in IIFT. Absolutely. Absolutely. They all have individual cutoffs. Okay. But as I was telling towards in the starting of the session also, that the cutoffs are not very high, Akash, so you don't have to worry about it. GK, I would say the total marks in GK is around 9, right? The 9 marks I'm talking about was last year, and the cutoff was around 1.5, right? So that's nothing. That's just like 3 questions, right? And for example, Quants had this sectional cutoff of 10% of the total marks, the highest marks, which was 20. Quants is usually of 20 marks, 1 mark each. 20 questions will appear. These questions are very lengthy, right? The reason this QA section of IIFT is considered to be on the difficult side is only because the questions are lengthy. That's it. Otherwise, the logic is very simple. So out of 20 marks, the cutoff was around 2.3. That is not even 15%. 2.3, 2.5 marks was the cutoff, right? So as I was discussing in the start of the session also, here we go. Remember the mere existence of sectional cutoffs? And if you ask around, students fail more in sectional cutoffs than in overall cutoff. I've seen people who scored very good in RC, very good in VA, and decent in DI and LR, and Quants they failed, they flunked. Right? They couldn't even score 3 marks in Quant out of 20. Right? So sectional cutoffs is very important. So as I was saying also, that time management is the key here. What you can do is spend 1 hour, initial 1 hour, in only clearing the cutoffs in a way that solve 5 questions each from each of the sections. Okay, that will make sure that the cutoff is clear. And of course, you'll have to see what kind of marks are being carried by what kind of the kind of sections we're talking about: DILR, GK, Quants, and VARC. And all you have to see, the first page of IIFT paper tells you about the total marks of that section and what the marks is going to be for each and every question. So you'll have to see that, spend 2-3 minutes to understand there and plan your strategy way forward. Yes, Akash, it's very much possible. Okay. Give me a moment. Give me a second. The link, the other device where I'm logged in from to see your comments is logged out. Let me check what went wrong. Okay. चलिए, I'm back. All right. So yeah, Akash, you were asking if it is possible to move between the sections. So Akash, IIFT 2020 is going to be computer based, is what the team has announced, but IIFT 2019 is still going to be paper based, where you're going to be filling the answers in the OMR sheet. Right, so switching between the sections is not a concept here. The paper is in front of you, and you can answer it accordingly, as per your preparation, as per your strategy. Okay. Section number 4, logical reasoning. Section is different from CAT, the logical reasoning that we're talking about here. CAT is, and the LR questions in CAT appear to be very, very complex and very time consuming. Right, in IIFT also it's a little time consuming, but the pattern of the questions you would have seen before. They're not very unconventional LR questions that appear in IIFT paper. So be prepared. Okay. Practice following types: syllogisms, input, output. These are like unique to IIFT and NMAT and SNAP kind of exams. Alphabet and number series, analogies, etc. Okay. So these are some topics that I will be taking probably the next session. Right now we're just discussing as from a bird's view on what the pattern looks like. Okay, the next section is quantitative aptitude, that is maths. The only thing you have to do here is spot and solve the easy questions only. Okay, as I said, IIFT questions are not going to be very complex. They're going to be easy to medium level. They're going to be 2-3 difficult level questions, right? But you should be in a position to spot them, that they're difficult level questions, and you shouldn't get into solving them. Spot only easy level questions and solve them. Solve around 10 to 12 questions would be a good score for IIFT. Okay, this IIFT exam is algebra, modern math, arithmetic, geometry, and coordinate geometry heavy. Okay, number systems is not very common here in this exam, is what the observation has been. And what else? PNC. 1-2 questions are asked on PNC. Algebra is pretty heavy in this exam. Likewise is arithmetic. Geometry, again 3-4 questions are asked. Coordinate geometry questions appear in IIFT exam if you look at the exams, past year exams, right? So check these and revise these sections, these topics. Okay, any doubts? Akash, anything you want to check? Anyone else who's there in the session, attending this live? Yes, Akash. DI and LR are separate sections in IIFT. So as you can see, section number 6 is DI. Right? So there are 6 sections. The first one being GK. The second one being verbal ability. Third one, reading comprehension. Fourth one, quantitative aptitude. Fifth is logical reasoning. And sixth is data interpretation. And each and every section, these 6 sections have separate cutoffs. Okay, and it's fun, this exam, trust me. You would know all the questions if you are decently prepared for CAT exam. You would be very excited to see the questions and would want to answer them. The only thing that matters here is that you should have the strategy of how to appear for this exam. A well drafted strategy, because the pattern is very different from CAT. Not so, Akash, I would say. If you think like that, trust me, you would be in a fix in the exam. Do not think like that. Clearing cutoff for each section will not be a challenge. As I said, spend first 1 hour. What you can do is pick 2 RCs, okay? 10 GK questions. You have सारे GK questions एक बारी में solve कर दो. Doesn't matter, okay? 7-8 minutes gone. 2 RCs, okay? 10 minutes gone. How many minutes have you spent? 18 to 20 minutes. 2 RCs, easy ones. Solve them, 4 questions each, 8 questions, done. Your cutoff is clear. Then quantitative aptitude, QA. 20 minutes are gone and you are left with 4 sections. Move to QA. Spend 10 minutes, solve easy questions, 4 questions. Right? They can be easy questions, 10 minutes is not a big deal. You can easily solve 4 to 5 questions. So say 5 questions you have solved in quants now. 3 sections left and 30 minutes left. DI, solve 1 DI set. 4 to 5 questions. Solve 1 LR set. Another 4 to 5 questions. Okay, left is verbal ability. It shouldn't take in verbal ability those sentence completion type of questions are there. Right, that can be solved in say 6 to 7 minutes or 8 minutes. 7 8 questions you can solve easily in VA. Right, 10 minutes you can spend in DI, 10 minutes you can spend in LR. You can easily solve 2 sets or total 3 sets. Right, and your cutoff is clear. Now go back to all these sections individually. Right, and try to maximize your score. So next 1 hour should be spent in maximizing the score. The first hour should be spent in only clearing the cutoff. So you're asking this question, if I'm able to solve this RC, then no need to solve remaining one, sir. No, as I said, you'll have to go back and maximize the score. Of course, there's no need in a way that your sectional cutoff will be cleared, but you have to focus on the overall cutoff as well. Right, because if you see the sectional cutoffs, they're not more than 3, 4 marks. 6 sections is what? 15, 16. But overall cutoff is usually 33, 32. There was one time when the overall cutoff went up to 44, 45. Right? So you have to go back and maximize the score. Now, you don't have to worry about individual sections. The sectional cutoffs are clear. Right? Now go back, solve another set of questions and maximize the score accordingly. Whichever is your strength, whichever section is your strength, go back and first focus on that, maximize the score there, then move on to the second best, second favorite section, third favorite section, and so on. Now, even if you miss out on, say, DI, and you do not get time to move back to DI, your sectional in DI is cleared. So you won't have to worry about that. Absolutely. Clearing overall and individual cutoffs will ensure call for GDPI. Absolutely. This is what the criteria is. They call everyone who have cleared the overall cutoff and individual cutoffs. Now, what happens is, it ensures a call, definitely. But the conversion happens only of people who have scored more than 98.5, 98 percentile. Unless you have some diversity factor in your academics or in the gender. Okay? In your work experience. So these things matter. Of course, a call is ensured if you're clearing the cutoff for individual sections and overall, but conversion would be a challenge if you're only just clearing these cutoffs. Okay, so we were here, section number 6, which is data interpretation. This is an extremely calculation intensive section, right? The sets are very, very calculation intense. So focus on solving fast. Trust me, you would see a DI set, you'll be like, बहुत easy set, because if you are prepared well for CAT exam, you would find these sets very easy. The problem lies is in the calculation ability. Can you solve these questions faster than others? Again, stay alert of any pattern changes. Sometimes they mix DI and QA, sometimes they mix DI and LR, so you'll have to, as I said, the first page of IIFT paper when will be handed over to you will have all this information. Here it is. Usually DI is clubbed with another section, latter is easier. Right? So if DI is clubbed with QA, QA will be easier. If it is clubbed with LR, LR will be easier, and so on. Right? Because they want to give you an opportunity to crack this exam. They're not your enemies in a way that they won't design something very, very, I would say, complex for you to not be able to solve it. So yes, usually DI is clubbed with another section. But again, there have been times when it has not been clubbed. It has been an individual section. So you have to check that out. Okay, again, some example on how to calculate fast. These specific examples we're going to take in the next session. Right now, just a bird's view of how IIFT exam looks like. Some important last minute quants revision is very important. Quants is one of the scoring sections. As you were asking also how to improve my calculations, right, Akash? Revision number 1. Revise fraction values from 1 by 2 through 1 by 20. That is, memorize this table in front of you. Take a screenshot if you want, or write it down yourself is something I would suggest so that you can learn simultaneously. Percentage equivalence of fraction values. 1 by 2 is 50%, 1 by 12 is 8.33%, 1 by 18 is 5.55%, 1 by 19 is 5.26%, and so on. So we're going to exemplify how these are very important. Check this out. If this is a question that appears in IIFT exam, let's see how you solve this question. An article is marked up by 5.26% and sold at no gain, no loss. What discount was given on this article? And such a question has appeared in IIFT. Now, someone who has not revised this table of fraction values, this is not something everybody would tell you. Right? This is my own observation, and I'm telling it to you guys. For CAT aspirants, IIFT aspirants, ZAT aspirants, this is very important, the table in front of you. So such a question appears. Let's see if you can solve this question. People who are attending this session as live audience, I would say go through this question at your own pace. Tell me what you think is the answer. And trust me when I say that this question can be answered in less than 10 seconds. That includes the reading time. There's an article that is marked up by 5.26% and sold at no gain, no loss. What discount was given on this article? Akash says it's 5%. Let's see. Thought process for CAT or IIFT, whichever exam is next for you. Of course, it cannot be CAT. Or if you are a CAT 2020 aspirant, that's a different story. It's a simple question based on PSG or PCG, percentage change graph. Your cost price, let's assume to be 100 rupees. It is marked up by 5.26%, which is plus 1 by 19 as per this table. Check this out. 5.26% is 1 by 19 as per the table. Okay, your mark price turns out to be 105.26, and the selling price is 100 rupees as per the question, because you're selling this article at the cost price. PCG says if something is getting increased by plus 1 by A to get back to the same value, so from 100 you're moving to 105.26 by increasing the value by plus 1 by 19 plus 1 by A. To move back to the same value 105.26 से लेकर आपको 100 तक फिर से जाना है, you have to give some discount. What discount would be divide here? Minus 1 upon A plus 1. That is minus 1 upon 19 plus 1, which is minus 1 upon 20. That is, according to this table, 5%. So plus 1 by 19 will be equal to minus 1 by 20 in this PCG question. Equivalent as in plus 1 by 19 will evoke my learning, my memory of using minus 1 by 20 in this question. Because I have to move back to the same value, which is 100. Okay? Revision number 2. Remember, memorize the square values till 30 square, from 2 square through 30 square. Here, the table comes handy for you guys. Take a screenshot if you want, or write down these values. If someone asks you, the question asks you, what is 14 square? You should be in a position to say it's 196 right away. 24 square is 576. 19 square is 361, and so on. You shouldn't be worried about picking the pen and paper and finding the square values. Okay? One knack of remembering this, as you can see, I've written down the squares here. Squares of what? 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and then 25 in the middle, and then move back again. So it's a U shape, starting from top left, 20, moving down, 25 appears in the middle, and then 26 starts with 26, and we move up in the right hand, on the right hand of this U that we're talking about. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30 squares. Okay, so difference between 20 square and 30 square is of 500. The difference between 21 square and 29 square is of 400. The difference between 22 square and 28 square is of 300. The difference between 23 square and 27 square is of 200. For 24 square and 26 square is of 100. If you look at this chart, again, you can take a screenshot if you want, I don't mind, or I would suggest that you do this yourself and observe these things yourself, in case you're finding it hard to remember the square values. Okay, revision number 3. So important topics we're discussing for quants. Mind maps of PCG, that is percentage change graph. Okay, conventionally what we do is, there's a value 100 increase to 120. If I ask you what is the absolute value change, you would say it's simple, final value minus initial value, which is 120 minus 100, that is 20. If I ask you what is the percentage change, you would say again it's simple, absolute value change, which is of plus 20, divided by initial value, which is 100, into 100. Right? Whereas 20% increase has happened on 100, so that the final value becomes 120. Now denominator is always the initial value, unless stated otherwise. For example, in CAT this time, we're talking about percentage profit percentage. There was this question in DI section. I don't remember if you guys encountered the same question or not, but I did. In that, the percentage profit was equal to the profit value divided by the cost value, the cost of the article or whatever they were selling. Right? So unless it is stated otherwise, remember that the denominator is always the initial value. Percentage change based on final value will be absolute change divided by final value change into 100. Final value into 100. No, it was not the last set in my case, Akash. It was the middle cases, middle sets. Okay, so in this case, if the denominator is the final value, the answer will be 120 as final value minus 100, which is the initial value divided by final value into 100. Now the change is of 16.67% because the denominator has changed. Right? Now the whole concept of PCG lies on this concept, in this small activity of changing the denominators. Let's see. If I told you that 100 is getting increased to 120, and I asked you what is the percentage change that is happening, you would say it's simple. Absolute change, that is 20 upon 100 into 100, that is 20%. It's a silly question, sir. It's a very easy question, right? Now, if I ask you, you're changing 120 to 100, right? What is the change, percentage change now? Some people get confused. They're not very well prepared for this exam. They're not even decently prepared for this exam. In this case, what is going to happen is the change, absolute change is still of 20, minus 20, right? But denominator changes to 120. So minus 20 upon 120 to 100 is minus 1 by 6. That is, as per the fractions, the first learning, the first revision that we did, minus 1 by 6 is minus 16.67%. So you would say 120 has to be reduced by 16.67% to arrive at 100. Okay, this is what PCG is going to tell you and make this whole process easier. Let's see how. 100 is getting changed to 120, an increase of plus 20%. In terms of fraction values, plus 20% is plus 1 by 5 from the fraction table that we just saw. And I'm emphasizing you to memorize. Okay. PCG says there's an increase of plus 1 by A into 100. Now, if you have to move back from 120 to 100, the change will be of minus 1 upon A plus 1 into this value. Okay, so it will be minus 1 upon A plus 1. So if increase is of plus 1 by 5, as is here, 20%, the decrease will be of minus 1 upon 5 plus 1, which is minus 1 upon 6. This is what PCG says. And I'm sure that you guys know this already. It's just that you need to revise this for exams that are coming up next. So this was PCG when the initial value was getting increased. But what happens when the initial value is getting decreased? Does the PCG formula stay the same or does it change? We'll see. So 100 is getting reduced to 80. So there is an absolute change of 20 and a percentage change of minus 20%. Now I say, what is a decrease? You would say there's a decrease of 20% happening on 100 so that the final value turns out to be 80. You're very right in saying that. Now if I ask you by what percentage value should I increase 80 so that I arrive back at 100, you would say it would be 20, the change, divided by 80 into 100. The PCG concept says, if you are decreasing by minus 1 by A, you will be increasing by plus 1 upon A minus 1. So it was a decrease of minus 20%, that is minus 1 by 5. To move back will be an increase of plus 1 upon A minus 1. That is plus 1 upon 5 minus 1, that is plus 1 upon 4. That is 25%. Is this clear? Is there anyone who has any doubts? Watching this live, looking at this concept, never seen PCG before or has seen PCG before but is not very sure what this is about. Now you should be clear. Chaliye, bahut badhiya. Again, another PCG question we'll take later in the next session. Revision number 4, mind maps of averages. Averages should be learned diagrammatically. There was this one set in DI that tested my averages, this mind map that I'm talking about. Right, what was happening was in that set, I don't recall exactly, there was this average rainfall and there was this long average rainfall, some deviation from that rainfall that was happening as compared to the previous year or as compared to the median for past 10 years. There was a question that appeared in CAT this year, right? And what was happening was they were removing CAT 2009 data and had given me the average of the 10 years and they asked me to add 2019 data for that particular state. Right? So I had to remove one value and add another value and see what the change would be. All the states were given. Yes, the states were given. Absolutely, Akash. Okay. So averages there, my averages, mind maps, the topic that I discuss and I teach you guys was tested live. So visualize what is getting added and what is leaving the group. Use assumed mean method wherever applicable. Do not get into adding all the numbers and dividing by the number of terms in that question to arrive at the average always. Sometimes assumed mean also helps. Let's quickly discuss this, adding a new member in the group. So there are 29 members, for example, in a group and the average age is 30 years. We're adding new member whose age is 30 years. What is going to happen? The 29 members are going to tell this new member that please bring at least the average that we have, which is of 30 years. The new member says, I'm exactly the same age. So the new group will be formed of 30 members and the average is not going to change. I don't have to calculate this to find this out. Second situation, 29 members, average age is 30 years. A new member is getting added whose age is 60 years. Okay, the group says, we are at 30 years already. How much are you bringing? The new member says, I'm bringing 60 years. So the group is going to say, okay, we're going to take your 30 years. You're a new member getting added. We're going to take your 30 years and add it to the already existing group and its average, which is 30 years already. So nothing changes. But you have a surplus of another 30 years. What to do with it? Now we are a group. We're going to eat together. We're going to work together. We are a team now. So let's take the surplus and divide equally amongst each one of us. So take a delta of 30, that is surplus of 30 years that you're bringing above and beyond already existing age that we have. And we're going to divide it by new number of members, which is 30 only, 29 plus 130. So the new average of the group is going to be 30 plus 30 upon 30. So 30 plus 1, which is 31 years. Here it is. Surplus is created of plus 1 given to each member. Likewise, there was another leaving the group. That is something probably we're going to explore later. Then division number 5, diagram of allegations. Averages and allegations. chapter, right? Remember this diagram. You should know the average age probably. So there are two classes with members N1 and N2. The average age of these two classes, the average ages are A1 and A2. You have to find out what is the average age of the group of, or if all these members, all these students are taken together, what is the total average, what is the new average age going to be of both these classes taken together. You draw these arrows from A1 through N2, from A2 through N1, passing through AW, of course. Formula will be, so we know that the new average age is going to be between A1 and A2. It cannot be less than A1, it cannot be greater than A2. Considering, assuming that A1 is on the lower side and A2 is on the higher side, between these two, A1 and A2, okay? Average age has to be between A1 and A2. The formula is going to be AW minus A1 upon N2 is equal to A2 minus AW upon N1. Allegation formula, remember this, revise this. Division number 6. Remember to visualize what is happening in the question. Try to visualize what is happening in the question as much as you can. Again, I'm not going to delve into taking examples. This is a CAT 2006 question that I take while I discuss this particular revision topic. But this is again we're going to discuss in detail in the next session. The mind map of ratio and proportion, how volume ratio is inversely proportional to concentration ratio. Right? For example, there are two concentration mixtures given to you, juices for example, solutions given to you of X liter and Y liter respectively. Okay, so the volume ratio is X is to Y. If you mix them, the concentration ratio is going to be Y is to X. So for example, this mixture, this solution we're talking about is 20% sugar. This Y liter solution is 80% sugar. Okay, and volume is 1 and 2 liters respectively. The volume ratio is 1:2. The concentration ratio, the new concentration is going to be between 20 and 80. It is going to lie at a point where the concentration ratio, that is between 20 and that new ratio, new mixture, new percentage, and between this extreme, the right extreme percentage concentration and the new percentage concentration. This ratio is going to be inverse of the volume ratio. Let's take an example. 20 liter and 80 liter, the two mixtures given to me, I mix them. What is happening in this is, it is 0% milk, 20 liter, and 100% milk in 80 liter, taken as 80 liter. Okay, so the volume is 20:80, that is 1:4. The concentration is going to be inverse of, the volume is 4:1. The concentration is going to be inverse of 4:1, which is 1:4. Let's see what this means. Okay, so when you are mixing these two, what is happening is that you get 80% milk. How? Because the volume is 4:1, the concentration has to be 1:4. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the extreme values, which is 0 and 100, divide them into 4 plus 1, 5 parts of 20% each, right? 0 to 100 is 100% jump that you have to take. The stretch you have to take divided by 5 will be 20% each is the measure of the step. So concentration is going to be in the ratio 4:1. Okay, so the volume is 1:4. I'm sorry. The concentration is going to be 4:1. That is 4 into 20%. That is 80% away from 0, and 1 into 20. That is 20% away from 100. So which is 80%. Okay. We're going to continue this revision in the next session as well. If you guys have any questions, any doubts, please let me know. I'm going to keep the session open for another 2 minutes. We have hit the time. Let me know if you have any doubts, anything you want to check with me. Otherwise, we can close the session. And we'll connect again tomorrow at 6 o'clock. And also, okay, okay. So yeah, and also be careful about the fact that I'm going to be launching a lot of special classes in this 1 week before IIFT, right? So you can join those special classes as well. Above and beyond YouTube sessions, I want to be taking some special classes as well starting tomorrow. Okay, so no questions. Let's connect again tomorrow, guys. Good luck with the preparation. Thank you so much for joining. I'll see you tomorrow now. Goodbye.